hustling.
20 minutes to 8 o'clock on 99 FM. If you're just joining us, you're making it right on time for our Royal Hustle this morning. The daily grind as we feature Namibians who are out there thriving in the spaces they find themselves in. This morning, I'm joined by the Managing Director of the Retirement Fund Solutions of Namibia, Mr. Marthinuz Fabianus. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Shay. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I was just telling you how excited I am to have you here, because I can't wait to hear this Namibian story that's going to be told this morning.
I really look forward to having a great time with you.
Let's start off at the beginning. Tell us about your background, growing up as a young boy here in Namibia, or where you grew up.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was actually born in southern Angola, a small missionary church there. And then obviously I grew up in Namibia. My parents are Namibian. I grew up in a small mining town called Arandes, near Swakopmund.
A town.
Yes. I was brought up by my uncle, so he was one of the employees there at the mine. And that was my upbringing.
Yeah. And growing up in A town, what were the ambitions, the dreams of what you want to become someday as a young boy?
Very interesting question, actually. I think I actually got emotionally matured very, very early on. Grew up in a house with a lot of children. My uncle was really a lover of people, especially family, so he took in a lot of family people. So there would be a lot of people that were much older than me, and they would talk to me about the issues that they had and what have you. So I figured, you know what, I can probably become a social worker at some stage. So I actually grew up thinking that I may become a social worker. But as I was growing up further, I realized that, you know what, given the subjects that I have taken, I probably wanted to be an economist or something. So those were my early childhood ambitions.
Already preparing the mind at that point in time.
Absolutely.
During school, if you wanted to do economy, obviously maths was the thing, your accounting must be. Were you a straight A student? Did you ace everything as it came?
Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not. Well, I was not a poor student necessarily. In fact, I was an above average student. I didn't shoot out the lights necessarily, but I was very versatile. I excelled reasonably well at what I was doing in the different subjects, in some of the sports. I used to be a boxer in my days, so I participated even at national level. So so I was pretty versatile, I would say above average generally.
Now, growing up in a big family, normally the situation in Namibia is that you have to kind of contribute, especially when you're of age and you have an understanding of how the world works. You can go out and go and make some money maybe to contribute to the household. Yeah. Did you have a side hustle growing up?
Yeah, which is actually a very interesting question that you're asking. I remember borrowing, I think it was a 20 rands in those days, in order to start a small business from another uncle of mine, and I started off selling sweets and all sorts of nice things to lend us at school to try and make money. But I think in most of us there's a business mind. So I've always wanted to be a business person or a business owner. So as I was growing up, and even when I started work, I tried various things to try and generate additional income, because I have learned early on, if you want to create wealth, you can't just depend on a salary. So I've tried everything. I've tried doing the shopping. I've tried all sorts of businesses where I've invested some of my hard-earned salary to try and generate additional income in order to create wealth.
The real hustle.
That's the real hustle.
Where you try something, you fail, you try again.
Exactly. So I've been doing all of that. I've in the business where I work today, and I'm happy to be an owner in that business, Retirement Fund Solutions. I've eventually learned the good lesson from the founder of that business, Tilman Friedrich, that it's best to be invested in a business that you know and understand. So yeah, so hustling is one thing, but I think when it comes to real business ownership, it's quite a completely different thing altogether.
Speaking about that real business ownership, tell us about you finding yourself in this space as the managing director of the Retirement Fund Solutions here in Namibia.
It's a long story. So essentially, I grew up in Narandes, like I've said. So I started my my primary school there. I did my secondary school and finished my secondary school in Narandes at Colin Foundation. I then came to Windhoek. I initially registered to study economics at the University of Namibia. Those were the early days, so I don't want to give away my age whatsoever. Shortly after independence. And I obviously didn't have the funds. In those days, the NASFAF that we know today
was not there. Yes.
It was not there, not in the way we know it today. So I didn't have the funds to go and study. So I had to start working as a school leaver. So I met the founder of Retirement Fund Solutions at another company. That was about 5 years before he started Retirement Fund Solutions. He had a good impression of me. And I got to know him, and I progressed very, very fast through the ranks at that company called United Pension Administrators. We parted ways about 5 years later after that company was acquired by Alexander Forbes Financial Services. He went to start Retirement Fund Solutions. I went to Old Mutual to be a marketing manager. I was there for a year. And then I rejoined that old colleague of mine at Retirement Fund Solutions. Again, at Retirement Fund Solutions, I progressed very, very fast through the ranks.
Up in the ranks, yes.
Yeah, up to where I am today as the managing director of Retirement Fund Solutions.
Isn't it beautiful when someone sees potential in you, and then you also feel like, I believe in myself, I can do this, let me do this. What is your motivation, the thing that drives you, that keeps you going?
Obviously, having grown up at a time where we witnessed the colonial era, apartheid, and then I said I was born in a small missionary hospital in the south of Angola. That was about the time when the war broke out in earnest between the South African Defence Force and the PLAN, the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, in southern Angola. So after Namibia's independence, you realize that there was sacrifices that our forefathers have made. And it was important for those of us who have witnessed that to also play our role in one way or the other. So to me, it was important to participate in the real economy, to have real skills, to be able to manage business. That motivated me. The fact that we needed to play a role as young Namibians in order to do and to pick up where our forefathers left off. I've got children. Many of them, some of my own and others that I'm bringing up. So I would definitely like to leave a legacy. I would like to be responsible in whatever I do, so that at the end of the day, my children have got something to look to have someone to look to as a role.
What do you look for in people? All these people that have seen you work, that the children that you are raising, what do you wish to instill in them that one day when they walk into the doors, that's the one thing that people notice that can work for their destinations? Tell us about what you look for.
Yeah, I think various things, and unfortunately, I have to be realistic that I am one individual that's different, and everybody is unique, and one has to respect the uniqueness of every individual. Everyone has been given their potential, but apart from all of that, I believe everyone needs to work towards becoming, to being emotionally mature. So I look for emotional maturity in people. A person must work towards becoming a good logical thinker. So I try and challenge my children my colleagues at work, just to be able to think logically and laterally. Obviously, certain fundamental values such as honesty, just being principled, and being firm in certain things that you believe in will also go a long way in making a success of a person. So I look for a combination of those.
To wrap it up, are you excited about Namibia, where we are going, even as the African continent, the future?
Absolutely. Namibia has a lot to offer. And I think it's important that you find yourself in a space where you understand what Namibia can offer. Namibia has got excellent telecommunications infrastructure. Look at what we're doing here. Excellent road network. Excellent financial services industry that is up there with the best in the world. So as a country, we really set up to be the best we can be. There are obviously certain areas such as having the necessary skills to be able to grow the economy, to be able to achieve some of the visions that have been set at national level. So from that point of view, a lot needs to be done in order to provide skills. But there is a lot of reasons to be excited. I said I was born in southern Angola, which is very close to the border between Namibia and Angola. So I live there in a village called Okalongo. The water infrastructure is in place, the road infrastructure is in place. And the same you hear in some of the other villages in the north and some other parts of the country. So the government has really done well. So the country is set up for everybody to have an opportunity to go to school and to be able to make a contribution. So I don't know who's not excited about the future of this country.
It's just a matter of doing it now.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time this morning and joining us and for sharing your story. I'm hoping that you inspired some of our listeners to really continue working hard and stay determined and also really think logically and laterally, as you mentioned. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Shay. I appreciate. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
That's the voice of the Managing Director of Retirement Fund Solutions in Namibia, Marthinuz Fabianus, telling us about his royal